Okay, welcome back. I'm Michael Kennedy. We are working on Pages, the inspector tutorials. In this tutorial, we're going to cover charts. Charts are very important for presenting data, but they can become rather complex. And that is the same case in Pages. They can be simple or they can get quite complex. In this tutorial, I'm going to cover the basics of inputting charts and how to modify those charts, at least the looks and appearance of them. The advanced series, I will cover specific formatting conditions for the charts, how to pull data from varying charts and put them into the same chart and make your documents active, or what would be considered live documents. If you had a numbers document located somewhere on your hard drive and you changed data in that, it would change the data automatically inside of a chart in the Pages document. Powerful feature, great integration by Apple. But for this tutorial, I'm going to cover the basics of charts. So let's go ahead and put a chart inside our Pages document here. The chart, to put a chart in, you do not have to have a table of information selected. You go to charts, or you can go to insert and pick a chart down here on the bottom. But in this case, I'm going to use the icon again, chart. And as you can see here, we have some three-dimensional charts. We have some traditional charts, scatter plot charts. I'm going to just pick one random chart here and have that insert. Now by default, Apple opens up the chart editor for you and puts in some basic information. Now you can change this information, and as you can see, this looks much like a spreadsheet. You can go in here and change the data and put your own data in, or you could add and remove columns. And as I said before, there is a way of updating data and linking data from one document to another. But in this case, I'm not going to demo that in this tutorial. I will cover that in a numbers tutorial, probably an advanced feature of numbers, where we start integrating in amongst varying software programs like Keynote and Pages. So we have our data here, and you can see the data is graphed. I actually use this data chart when I'm showing graduation progress with students. And I like to show it because it gives a visual representation of where students need to reach and how far they've come with their current classes. But we can change the chart by selecting the chart here, and we can just pick a different chart. And Pages will go ahead and modify that for you. We can go to a pie chart, and I think you get the picture. Pages will go ahead and modify this and make a pie chart. We have some other choices, of course, scatter plot. We could go vertical bar chart. Pages goes ahead and changes that for us. So to add and remove data, we use the data editor. If it doesn't appear, it's located right here with this button that says edit data. That makes that chart appear. We can add and remove columns, and we can change the data. Let's go ahead in here and change this to 60. Enter. And we should see a change here. Yes, this bar got a little bit bigger, the blue here. Maybe if we change this one too, we put it in at 50. Enter. We'll see a big jump here. Yeah, we saw a little bit of a jump there. So we can edit that data and change it. The chart colors, we can change the chart colors. We can change the textual fills, whether they're 2D or 3D. We can change the color of those. We can go to a fun color. I'm not sure what we'll get here. It usually takes a second to load, right? So we've got some bright fun colors here we could pick from. So we could change the actual colors of our chart. And we'd say it'll apply to all. Okay. Computer's operating a little slow. You can see now here in the chart, it has gotten a little fun. There's some little flair to the colors. I'm not so sure I like those colors. But another great piece about charts in Pages is we can just grab the chart and we can actually move it around and move it from one page to another. And I'll demo that later in a later tutorial. But click on chart. Let's bring up our inspector again. Now we have a chart. We can show a title. In this case, there is no title, but we can click on that and change that title to my chart. Okay. So we can show the legend or remove the legend. Click on the chart again. Bring that back. Show and remove legend. You can see the legend has disappeared. The gapping between the bars on the chart, we can increase that and decrease that. We can increase the gap on sets. In this case, we don't have sets selected, so it is grayed out, but you can increase that gap if you want a larger gap. We can change the bar type to a cylinder. All the charts that you choose, whether you choose a bar chart or you choose a pie chart, they all have slightly different options inside the bar formatting. Obviously, you wouldn't have a cylinder option if you had a pie chart, but it will give you varying options. The default lighting, we can change it to glossy. You can see it looks a little more glossy on these bars. We can change it to a soft light. There's a very soft light on the side. I particularly like the glossy. I'll put it back to that. And the chart depth, we can change the depth of the chart. We can change the 3D scene. By bumping these, we can tilt the chart forward and backwards. And we could also show beveled edges on the chart. Let's see if the computer seems to be running a little slow. I might have to reboot to bring this back. Okay, we get some beveled edges on the chart in the 3D shapes. The axis, we can choose values for the y-axis. We can show and hide these values. We can show in percentage scales. In this case, there's no tick marks. We could add tick marks by unchecking that box. And we can put a minimum and number, minimum and maximum, increase the number of steps in the chart. So in this case, we see this 5 steps, and now we've got the lines appear because I took off the tick marks here. And we could increase that to 6, 7, and we increase these lines to 7. There we go. And it's already calculated the numbers for us. And let's see, formatting, we can go to currency, percentage, scientific, and fractions. Decimals, again, we can change some of the formatting of how it appears on the x-axis, x or the y-axis. We have the same options. In this case, some of these are not checked. I can go ahead and uncheck this. We'll get the tick marks going up and down. In this case, will be the lines that should appear there on the x-axis. The computer seems to be running a little slow here. And we can label the categories, or we can label every 2 categories, every 3 categories, every 4 categories. In this case, we only have 2 there, so we'll go back to 1 category and we'll label all those. And that is the header line. So if we had multiple headers, we could label those multiple headers inside the charts. As I said, this can get relatively complex quickly. And if you're not a chart person, you're probably a bit overwhelmed at where I am right now. Let's go ahead into the series. Editing the series, we can show a value of series, and you can see the values have now appeared on the cylinders, and we can change where they appear. In this case, they're at the top. We can make them move down to the middle of those cylinders. We can make them move to the bottom of the cylinders. We can display a number, currency. Again, we could do custom features. I'll cover some of these in advanced tutorials on numbers, and we can add separators. So we have some options with the labels. And again, once you've set this the way you like the look, you can go back and change the graph and see how it looks as another option, and it will keep some of this conditional formatting for you. Add labels. Let's go back to that. There we go. So the labels jump right back in there, and we have them centered, so it remembered that centering from before. And this time we get a center, not just up and down, but we can go vertically and horizontally in this type of chart. So that's the basics of the chart inspector. Come on back, and we're going to be dealing with hyperlinks.